Hey guys, Mark here. I hope you're doing well. In today's video, I wanted to show you this. So what is this? This is the Bahco kit of a folding saw as well as a knife. Now you can buy each of these items separately or as a kit. Naturally, as a kit, it is a bit cheaper. This set, as well as the items separately, are highly rated on Amazon, for example, so I wanted to see if the kit is worth it. Now the kit is produced in Europe, more specifically Sweden, and I think that it is mostly geared for bushcraft and camping. I myself am going to be using it more for pruning as well as basket weaving. So with this said, let's take a closer look at the kit, each of the items separately, then test them. Now before I jump into each of the items separately, a few first impressions. Now with the saw, I hope that the blade retracts into the handle completely, since it could snag into clothes and various other items. The leather strap is okay, but I'm going to be swapping it out for a paracord lanyard. Now, as far as the knife goes, I've heard that it is produced by Mora. As such, I think it's going to be at the level of the Mora Companion. So, a good knife, a decent knife for the price, in a very bad sheet. So first off, let's take a look at the knife. Let's measure it up first to see the proportions. So the blade itself is about 4 inches long. The handle is about 5 inches in length. The blade is a bit under 1/10 of an inch in diameter. So all in all, it is a fairly small and compact knife. It has a Scandi grind, as I can see, and a rubberized handle. It looks fairly nice. So how sharp is it out of the box? So let's do a cutting test. All I'm going to do is take a piece of printing paper and do several cuts. So first, a cut pulling towards me. Yeah, the knife is fairly sharp. And now a push cut with no assistance from me. So yeah, it is pretty good. It could be better, but it's not bad at all. Let's also test the sheet quality to see how well it holds the knife and prevents you from losing it or the knife from falling out. So all I'm going to do is try to shake out the knife out of the sheet. So for now, it holds up pretty well. Now over time, this may change, but for now it works okay. Now let me show you a Mora Companion that I have used for a while. So you can see, it is quite easy to lose this knife since it practically falls out once in a while. Before I run off and start testing the knife, let me say a few things about its advantages and disadvantages up to this point. Two major points of concern, at least for me, are the blade thickness. So the blade is not the thickest one out there. And the second, well, it's not a full tang knife. But at this price point, you usually don't expect it to be. Now the advantages are naturally the price, rubberized handle, It is sharp out of the box with a Scandi grind, which makes the blade easier to maintain. It has a 90-degree spine, but it's not a very sharp 90-degree spine. It seems a bit polished. So this is something that I'm going to have to test. You usually want a sharp 90-degree spine so that you can scrape off bark and things like that. Now, the sheath for this knife is okay for now. It may change over time when it gets some use. And well, the steel quality is something that I'm not going to even comment. Some prefer stainless, some prefer harder steels. Well, it is a matter of preference. Now, let's go ahead and test the knife. Here you can see me testing the knife. The first thing that I do is remove some bark off of a stick. Next, what I do is scrape off the green wood directly under the bark. Next, some notch work. And finally, I also process a strip of wood for making a basket. After working with the knife a bit, I can say that it did held up quite well. The only issue that I did have was with the spine of the blade, which is not a sharp 90-degree spine. It is close to that, but if it was a bit sharper, it would make removing bark a bit easier. All in all, this is a solid knife, an excellent backup knife, for example, a good fishing knife, and well, it can be a primary knife for someone getting into bushcraft, maybe someone with smaller hands, a woman, someone younger. But for me, I would like to see a thicker blade as well as a sharper spine. But as a backup knife, it is a good choice. As far as the folding saw goes, the first thing that I did was check if the blade hides into the handle completely. It does, so yay. Then I measured it out. The blade is about 7 inches long. The teeth count is 7 teeth per inch. The handle is about 8.5 inches long. One additional thing that we should check is the thickness of the blade. So the thickness is about 1/20 of an inch. So the blade is not the thickest one out there, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It means that it is able to bend a little bit without breaking. But it also means that sometimes it is a bit more prone to jamming. With that said, let's put the folding saw to use. For testing the folding saw, I'm going to do some pruning. This isn't terribly scientific, but it is more of a practical test. Plus, it gets some work done. After using the saw, I can say that it did a good job. It didn't break, it didn't lose any teeth, and it still cuts well. Now, the coating wore off a little bit, but that is to be expected. I can definitely recommend the saw as a backup. It has a fairly thin blade, which can be a problem later on. So if your life is going to depend on the saw, or if you're going to use it professionally, you better get a more expensive and a higher quality folding saw. But as a backup or something that you're going to use fairly rarely, it is excellent. It is good for bushcraft, in my case for basket weaving, it is good for pruning and so on. So all in all, a good saw, but it's not something that I would stake my life on. So guys, this is pretty much it for the look at the Bahco kit. The knife, as well as the saw, are fairly high quality, especially considering the price. As I predicted, the knife is something that's especially good for the ladies. My wife has pretty much laid claim to it and she uses it for carving wood. The saw is pleasant to work with and well, I use it mostly for pruning. With this said, thank you very much for joining me and I hope to see you next time.